Before the G20 kicks off, you heard there from the French president that one issue is clearly sticking out.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we heard there from the French president was a bit of a preview of what could go wrong at the end of the G20 summit here in Osaka. Because at the end of the day, there has to be a communique. There has to be a final statement that all countries agree upon. All 20 plus international organizations that will also be represented here in Osaka at the G20 summit. And the French president has a red line, he says. He says that if other countries won't sign on to a strong statement that stands against climate change, then what is the point, is essentially the French president's message. And who is he addressing with that? Well, that's, of course, US President Donald Trump. There were other reasons that the French president gave as to why things might get a bit complicated here in Osaka when all those heads of state come together. Because he and the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, who, after all, is the host for the G20 summit here in Japan, they want a strong statement on free trade, for example. They are defenders of multilateralism, of globalization. All of those are not exactly very popular words in the Trump White House. So what you're seeing there is a little bit of a preview of the views that every head of state is bringing to this G20 summit and why there could be quite a few clashes. That statement, by the way, that final statement, is being worked on right now by the teams. That is something that's usually organized beforehand, and we certainly don't have any indication that there is an agreement as to what will be in that communique in the end.
Now you mentioned free trade. We have the environment. What other issues are world leaders not likely to see eye to eye on?
Well, there are all sorts of issues that tend to take over one of these big summits and that are not necessarily on the official agenda. And we have two of those here with us for the G20 summit in Osaka. One of them is Iran. The US President Donald Trump brings with him in his baggage a very tense relationship, of course, between Washington and Tehran. And there will be a lot of heads of state and heads of government who will want to whisper in his ear in these hallways of the G20 summit venue here in Osaka, telling him to calm things down if he possibly can with Tehran. The other subject also includes the US president. Of course, it is the trade fight between the United States and China right now. We know that there is going to be a very crucial bilateral meeting between Presidents Trump and Xi here in Osaka on the sidelines of the summit on Saturday evening. That's not going to make or break the summit itself, but it might make or break the actual headlines that will come out of it.
Philip, thank you very much for the update. Philip Crowther reporting there from Osaka for us.